COVID gave everybody a chance to look at their lives and go, the hell are we doing? This is not working. I got free time. I can complain about it or I can take advantage of it. And people started writing about their dreams. And this is perfect timing because the world is in hot messness right now. And what we need are storytellers, because storytellers are the acrobats of the human condition. All right, we give people hope. It is first person testimony is church. That's how it began in Africa and in Greece. It's also how we get courage. It's how we create empathy. I may not know you, but I can understand what you're feeling if you tell me the truth, right? And solo performers are also decathlon runners of the acting world, because I can tell you from personal experience, it is unlike anything else you will ever do. It is exhausting. In a regular movie or play, you have multiple storytellers, right? With different points of views, different kinds of energy. They're backing away from an action. The other person's pursuing an action. There's give and take. In a solo show, you're doing it all. And the payoff is that if you're an actor who's going out for Black girl number 6, brunette nurse number 3, over and over and over again, and you know that your deepest emotional chords are far more complicated than what you're going out for, the solo show is the place to show people your badassery. Okay. And you can focus the solo show on what you're good at, your deepest emotional chords, which is how I created my show, Liberty City, and then my subsequent play, which is a multi-character play. Okay. And in a climate where, well, we're having a writer's strike right now, so there's no writing going on, but even when there is writing going on, I'm finding that self-published writers, their work is far more interesting than what's on Netflix and Hulu. I'm just, it's so tedious. And I realized it's because America is committed to a formula that makes money at all costs. It's not committed to the story of the human condition. Whereas self-published writers already have an audience, or they find an audience because they are selling their souls, right? They are speaking their truth to power. So they find an audience who will pay whatever because we're starved for it. And I was like, oh gosh, why can't I find interesting people? I'm reading T.A. White, and I'm reading M.D. Cooper, and a bunch of other people who write speculative fiction. And the storytelling is amazing. And at the time that I wrote my show, I was reading Octavia Butler, and I was like, and Ursula Le Guin, and the imagination and reimagining the world, she was ahead of her time. She was on non-binary 100,000 years ago, and women transforming into men and doing espionage across time. Come on, man. And so what I realized is that what's in your core is far more interesting than what the world has on offer. Right? Because your core storytelling impulse is driven by your deepest emotional chords, the 4 lessons you were put here to learn and get right in this lifetime. Right? So it has, first person narrative has a power unlike any other. And in this current climate where there's no work at all, now is the time to make your own work. The second reason is that as long as you're trying to please somebody else and tell somebody else's story, you're abandoning your own. And there's this emptiness that lives with that, right? You're a unicorn that's never been here before. You have a story to tell. And what's in the popular culture doesn't look anything like most people's lives. And I was really starved for reimagining the world that I'm currently stuck in, right? And writing my own story is what made me realize back in 2017 that why am I here running to all these casting directors and agents and begging for a job and I'm a storyteller. Acting is a form of storytelling. Right? Writing is another form of storytelling. Teaching is a form of storytelling. The Moth is a form of storytelling, spoken word. And I was like, you've done this, girl. I read my sections of my solo show, open mic, summer stage, wherever I could get an audience, in my living room, storytelling circles once a month. And I was like, I am accepting less than I deserve. It was a total aha moment. I was like, I am begging somebody to say, oh, you're the gatekeeper. Please let me in and tell me I'm worthy. When I already knew I had a story that was worthy, because I had people who wanted to sit and listen to it. I had people I could teach stuff about how to tell their story, and they would explode and go and premiere their show at Edinburgh. My client, Nalini Sharma, is at Edinburgh right now. I'm ecstatic, right? Like, you know, Peter Garachi is doing the stand-up comedy circuit. He didn't know that's what his solo show was going to be when he started, but there it is. Juan Francisco Villa does his show anywhere, churches, parks. He's had theater runs. I license my show out, right? There's power in that. It's when I realized in 2017, where like they were shooting Black people like it was like, you know, a new hobby. I was like, I actually don't deserve to live this way. I deserve for my life to be more than begging entitled white guy directors to find me worthy. I deserve to not get on the subway and sit across from a Nazi skinhead. I deserve for somebody to say, hey, I heard you, and that changed me. I deserved to find my self-worth in my work and my ability to help other people rewrite their story. It gave me the courage to pack a bag and move to Morocco without a game plan. I was like, because I've told my story. I can tell my story again and make a living. I told my story everywhere I went in Morocco. It gave me the courage to hop on a shuttle flight and go spend the day in Madrid and meet a friend for coffee. It freed me. Because when you write your story, it's like taking a personal inventory of your life. And when that is written down in front of you, I don't know if you guys saw that crazy video. I have like the crazy blonde hair on Instagram. And I'm like, oh my God, when I finally started recording my story and transcribing it, I was like, bitch, you have done a lot of shit. You're fierce. And I didn't know that. I wasn't experiencing my life that way, right? Other people were, right? It takes the power of your self-worth out of the hands of someone else. And it puts it in yours. And writing down what you have done and what you have been through in a well-made structure, there is nothing like it. Nothing. There is nothing like the moment in my solo show when I tell the story of my aunt who got addicted to crack and who was a teacher, assistant vice principal, the first person in our family to go to college, had her own condo, was super successful. And crack hit Miami and people thought it was a social drug and it took her out. And it destroyed, you know, my icon. She was my 1970s Chaka Khan icon. She had a big afro. She taught at school. Yeah, she played basketball. She was fierce. She did runway shows and it took her out. And in the show, instead of focusing on the moment in which she got addicted, I focused on how she found love again. And it was in that moment where her mom locked her in her bedroom and was like, you're going to get clean. And she wanted to fight her mom. And her mom said, do it. Come in here and do it. And she said, help me, mama. Help me. And when my aunt showed up in New York City, out of nowhere, and was sitting in the audience, and she said, yes. Yes, Lord, yes, I did that. I made it through. My baby remembered. And she started weeping. I knew I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. And I introduced her at the end of the show and she stood up and she took a very fabulous bow because she survived crack. She survived AIDS. She's she survived it and has superseded it. And she said to me, how did you remember that? And I said to her, I remember every moment you made magic in my life. It's my job to remember the magic you made for me. I was like, everybody's got a crackhead on the street. I was like, and I knew this was the side of the story I needed to tell when I kept getting offers. I mean, a straight up offer. Will you come play a crackhead in your underwear and braless on Law and Order? And so you'll be the unfit Black mother. I was like, excuse me. The story of my life is a mother who stopped her job, locked her child in her room, and fed her by her hand until she got clean. That's the mother I know. I'm not party to any other story. It's my job to celebrate the moments in which we get it right. Right? And so I chose the moment in the story where she found herself through love. Fierce, tough love. That's why I fuck people up in my classes. I come from tough love women. My great aunt was like, you're getting clean. I will lock you up in this house for 6 months if I have to and feed you soup and homemade bread, but you are going to get clean. And I will sit on my porch and any drug dealers that come by, I will shoot them. And that's how her daughter got clean. Why would I not tell that story? When the other story they're trying to tell me is that women are trifling, women don't work, women are welfare moms, no. When you write, you're becoming very intentional about who you're going to be in the world. You get out of the grind and you say, y'all don't get to tell me who I am or what I'm worth. My life should not be defined by constantly fighting to convince you I'm worthy. When you tell your story, it's without question. Without question. Now, I want to look at the top 10 most burning questions. But before I do, I want to ask you, what is the one question you need answered today? And perhaps we'll do a little coaching on it. And what is the one thing that you would want to work on in a 12-week class with me? One thing.